All right, so we're back, part 3 in this for AEW New Japan Forbidden Door coverage series. Last episode finished off talking about the debuting Claudio going against Zack Sabre Jr. Moving on to the Fatal 4-Way for the IWGP World Title. Champion Jay White defending against AEW's Hangman Adam Page, Adam Cole, and New Japan's Kazuchika Okada.
A lot happening here. This is maybe the most forbidden of all doors being crossed. Because can you imagine, Jack, like, again, thinking like, what, January or Christmas? Adam Cole fighting for the New Japan Heavyweight Championship, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Hangman Adam Page in contention for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Kazuchika Okada wrestling in Chicago for the second time in his career. Yeah. All in, if you recall, against Marty Scurll.
Yeah. And to add even further to this, because it is something to note, all 4 of these men were in New Japan at the same time at one point, I think. But think back to that year. I don't think anyone could have pictured the 3 men, Jay White, Hangman, and Adam Cole, being anywhere near the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship at this point. They could picture Okada, but back in those...
had it.
Yeah.
Hey, so during that time when they were all simultaneously with New Japan, is Jay White like a funny, beardless, characterless baby face?
Yeah.
With a jacket in chaos?
Yeah, and then Adam Cole is more so known for his ROH stuff at the time, but still doing a couple matches. And then Hangman's known as just one of the other, like, if you want to like put it harshly, like the Bullet Club, what's the word I want to use? Like lackeys, I guess you could say, you know?
Yeah, he's a lackey if ever there was one.
Yeah, so it's like back those years, no one would have been like, well, like if you were to tell people like back in the year of like 2016, 17 that Okada was going to be facing these 3 men for the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, they would have been like, what's so forbidden door about that?
I wish I followed that account on Instagram. Like, I don't know the account, but on my Explore page, it pops up every pay-per-view. They recreate the pay-per-view poster, but with all of their indie photos. And it's really great to see, like, you know, Becky Lynch in Ireland and Asuka in Japan, these young photos of themselves. They always use Roman Reigns like football photo, like Brock Lesnar's college wrestling photo. And you're like, yeah, these people, when they were this age, you couldn't fathom being the superstars that they are now.
Yeah. So very similar here. All 4 men involved have now, Okada's always been a star for the most part of his career, but the other 3...
And again, he, you know, when he came out on, was it Rampage? And here he is again, getting this massive reaction from thousands of people that, like, you know, you just wonder, like, how many wrestling fans know about the New Japan product? Well, as far as this crowd goes, they know.
Yeah, they for sure know. They went crazy for Okada on Dynamite when he popped up, when they heard that coin drop.
Yeah.
They went crazy here too, and I told my dad, and I told this to Dom too, and when I was talking to Dom, because like I told you, I think in the first episode, how I was explaining this event to him and why it was a monumentous event, essentially, you know? Yeah. When I told him about this match, I told him, it's a fatal 4-way. There's 4 men in this match, Dom. They all stood in their corners. The bell rang, and the audience, without them doing a single move, just all 4 men standing there staring at each other, the audience gave them a standing ovation.
Just the fact that these 4 men were standing in the ring at the same time. Yeah, you're absolutely right to point that out. And what does Jay White do? The villain is heel with Gato in his corner. He rolls out.
Yeah, he rolls out, and of course Adam Cole follows suit. So you're like, oh, okay, well, here's Okada and Hangman. And just as they're about to get into it, they both jump back in and start beating up on them.
Oh, villainous! this match, Jack, really felt like a tornado tag for 80% of it.
Yeah, it definitely did, because so much of it was just the Adam Cole and Jay White teaming up to beat up on both Hangman and Okada.
And both Okada and Hangman generally just sort of stuck with the, their villainous counterpart, instead of going for each other.
Yeah.
A fine way of structuring that match. Which, did you think, did you have a thought, Jack, as to whether Jay White or Adam Cole would turn on the other? Which one it was going to be?
I did, and even though it was obviously this entire feud kind of building up to be Adam Cole because of the fact of how much Jay White, despite being buddies with him, was not willing to give him the match one-on-one.
Right, yeah.
I was I still thought that Jay White would be the one to initiate the turn. But it's Adam Cole.
I think I predicted Cole for, I think, similar reasons, yeah.
And, of course, to make things really connect, and commentary also said it too, how does he turn on him? With the backstabber.
I love that. That's a really deliberate choice. I think it went really well over with the crowd. I think they reacted really big. And how apropos, how poetic.
Yeah, and so finally, it truly kicks into a fatal four-way as all four men are just going at it with one another.
Any spots stand out to you?
I liked how they really played up all men's finishers as the ending point, because multiple times Hangman tried to hit the buckshot lariat. Jay White tried to hit the. Why am I blanking on Jay White's move's name?
Not Sister Abigail. Even though
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Okada's Rainmaker, Adam Cole's last shot. All four were played up that they would be the ending, and so each time you just saw either someone slipping out of it or it being countered one way or another. I'm trying to remember what else was there. Hangman Page going for a moonsault just to get super kicked by Adam Cole while upside down, replaying the Ricochet spot.
That was a good spot. Yep.
Yeah, and then, just all four men were really good in this match, especially once they kicked into the fatal four-way spot. Of course, Gato getting involved at one point, classic. I still I want to see if there is a full-on compilation of just all the times Gato has interfered, so I can show it to my dad and show him how he's just Roman and the Usos on steroids, essentially.
Or, a slightly more active Paul Heyman.
Yeah. There's they suplexed Hangman onto the ramp at the very start of the match.
Adam Cole was shaking so much on his half of that suplex. He's gotten a lot of flack recently about his body shape and size. He's a flabbier guy, he's a lighter guy. And I was just thinking about that while he was shaking so much. I'm like, goodness, if there was a reason to bulk up, it'd be this right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember any other spots. The one thing I'm immediately going to is the finish because of just how awkward and concerning it was.
Mm-hmm.
So the finish is, this entire time Okada's been trying to hit that Rainmaker, and each time each person has ducked it, and I think Adam Cole even ducked one earlier in the match, so he does it again and Adam Cole ducks it, and you're just like, oh, okay, there's probably still more to this match. But then Jay White comes in and he hits the Blade Runner on Okada, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's gonna pin him. But then Okada rolls out and he just walks over to Adam Cole, who's laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And, he pins him, and you're just like, wait, but Okada didn't even connect with the Rainmaker on Cole. What's going to happen here? And then the 3 count happens, and you're just like, huh?
Yeah, you're left really wondering, huh? And I wondered if it was a mistake. There had been a few, sketchy counts in the night.
Yeah,
they count to 3, the music hits, and like it looks like Jay White has like kind of a longer conversation with the ref afterwards. You know, like an out of character. He's telling him something.
Yeah. And so, I was actually a bit concerned because,
it's Jack. It's the curse. The curse, Jack. We had 2 more matches.
Yeah, and I definitely was concerned because of the fact that when they showed, I don't know if they showed like a replay of it, like from the angle that I saw from like other people that showed it.
Yeah.
But after he ducked that Rainmaker, he almost essentially like collapsed to the floor. Like he fell to his knees and just kind of laid down. And so people genuinely thought he like passed out or something.
And news comes out later that I think my man got a concussion.
Yeah, and so of course he's not going to take that Rainmaker right to his head.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, so it was likely they called an audible, but I don't know. I feel like the audible would have been better had they come up with something. Like, I think at that point, you throw all your booking and the way you view your competitors out the way and just have, like, Hangman or Okada take the pin at that point.
Hangman, take the pin.
Yeah. Hangman could have easily slid back in.
Do you know the name of the owner of New Japan? Or the name of the manager?
I don't know.
I think, like, we'll call him New Japan Tony Khan. I think if you even begin to fathom pinning Okada, he'd run out there and put his body over his. Yeah. Don't you dare.
Yeah, so, I mean, and even if, like, Hangman can take that pin and no one would be mad, you know.
Hangman can take the pin.
Yeah, it was just...
it was Adam Cole, baby. We got Young Bucks and Kyle O'Reilly coming out to check on their buddy. Passing up the IWGP Heavyweight Champion up the ramp as he celebrates.
If you were looking closely, that wasn't what it was originally. Because the Bucks look at Hangman in the corner before O'Reilly shifts their attention over to Adam Cole.
But I did not notice that, sir.
A lot of interesting stories looking to play out soon.
A lot of interesting stories.
But we move on. Jay White retains, and we move on to the main event. Jon Moxley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the interim AEW World Championship.
In the promo package leading up to the fight, my favorite line is from Tanahashi, and it's all in caption because he's talking in Japanese, but he says, Jon Moxley's been saying that Tanahashi's been ducking him. No, it's taken 3 years for Jon Moxley to reach my level. And you're like, that's MVP levels of burn.
Yeah, that was, oh man, I really enjoyed that line, you know, and it really puts over Tanahashi as like this big figure over in New Japan, which he obviously is.
And then in turn, Jon Moxley in the same promo video says that, you know, he laid the groundwork for this bridge between AEW and New Japan. You might say Jericho did as well, but, you know, Moxley's done that crossover stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And he just looks dead in the camera and says, I am the forbidden door, which you're like, okay, oh boy.
You know, obviously it's outside factors, of course, that affected it as well, but you can also say that Jon Moxley is partially responsible for the forbidden door happening between AEW and New Japan because of the fact that it seems like he was always holding captive that IWGP US title.
Holding it captive. Juice Robinson is literally holding it captive, and just because the plane stopped flying, Jack. Gonna hold that against Moxley. Jack, I'm gonna lean on you to tell me about this match, because for this match, Jack, the 13th of the night, I fell asleep.
Honestly, I'm going to admit I was almost completely checked out at this point. I still watched the match.
Gracious.
Yeah, I still watched the match, obviously, and I can tell you most of it, but like physically, I was so tired out at this point because I
passed out. It happens most every New Japan show. Definitely Okada main event. And so, like, I've just felt myself, like, blink, Jack, and, like, I open my eyes, I realize they've been closed, and all of a sudden, Moxley's wearing the crimson mask.
Yeah.
What the hell happened?
Yeah, it was so crazy to, like, see it all go down. You know, I think the only reason I was especially, like, how would you say, like, checked out at this point, despite still paying attention, was just because the quality of match, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, we're so used to the style of, okay, well, here's like a filler match just to cool you down a bit. But like I said, that crowd was white hot from start to finish, so there was no cooling down at any point. But it's funny because you see Tanahashi hit a sling blade on Moxley, and it wasn't, I don't think they necessarily said it on commentary, but the way they were like talking about it, because like right after he gets busted open, they made it seem like that was what busted him open, the sling blade, and everyone's like, I don't think a sling blade cuts a man open. Something had to happen before or after to cause that cut to happen.
No, Jack. He jumps, he twists in the air, he drives Jon Moxley onto his back so hard his face starts leaking. It's a back bump move. But obviously, Jack, the impact was so hard. Struck a leak in his forehead.
Oh, man, yeah. It was so funny. But there was also... Moxley was hitting... Like, Moxley was pulling out some moves, and it was probably because of the fact that he knew this was a special occasion. He pulled out a cutter out of nowhere at one point, and I was just like, why do I feel like I've never seen Moxley hit a cutter?
I've seen him do it at least once, but I had the exact same thought as you did. I thought, ooh, is he allowed to just hit cutters? Like, I feel like he should ask somebody for that one.
Yeah. And
yeah, I've seen it like on one of those like Blackpool Combat Club's multi-man matches where I'm like, oh, okay.
And then there's obviously it was funny. I saw someone in the comments of a post go, is Moxley turning into the new Ric Flair where he's just bleeding in every match at this point?
You know, maybe. Goodness gracious.
I know Cody was watching upset because he was like, man, they didn't let me bleed. Oh, man. Cody's still watching back his Hell in a Cell match, upset that he couldn't bleed.
I mean, at least it would have reduced the swelling.
But
any notable spots, Jack, besides the blood-drawing sling blade?
I know there was a spot where, again, much like what seemed like an issue in a lot of the different like matches, there was another spot where it's like they kind of messed up the count.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I forgot at what point it was, but Tanahashi was the one pitting Moxley, and they kind of like messed up the count a bit. And then obviously, I mean, I just can't remember most of the match. I just remember, Moxley finally hits that paradigm shift for the win, and he was bleeding all over that mat. And
I saw him too. I think he's taking a page out of Suzuki's book, and I think he hit like a sleeper first.
Yeah,
the sleeper's a weird transition. Like, does the guy knock out that quickly?
Yeah,
but I saw him do that before he hit his like super paradigm shift. I think, if it's not the paradigm shift, I think it's the Death Rider.
Yeah, and so he gets the win, and we get a bit of a, I'll put in quotes, controversial ending to some fans, in the sense that it seemed more like a TV episode finish rather than a pay-per-view finish.
And you know what? We've had pay-per-view finish or pay-per-view main events, Jack, that paled in comparison to the events after the fact. Right? Like, actually, this is probably, besides crowning an interim champion, really setting up the buy-in for Blood and Guts on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because who starts coming out?
Jericho with Daniel Garcia.
Right. They start taking it to Tanahashi, right?
Yeah. They start taking it to Mox and Tanahashi, and then Kingston comes out, and then Wheeler Yuta, Santana, and Ortiz come out, and that causes the rest of Jericho Appreciation Society to come out, and then finally Cesaro's music hits, and he comes out to join the fight at the end with a big.
And that's what I took away from this, Jack. Like this whole thing, besides selling Blood and Guts on Wednesday, like actually this was another opportunity to get Cesaro over as the guy who's gonna come and clean house, the X Factor, Black Combat Club's side, and all seems well amongst the baby faces, right, Jack? Everybody is all hunky dory. We're a team. We're in this together. We love each other. We're gonna take down Jericho Appreciation Club.
You would think so until you notice there's a certain notable member not in the ring, and instead they cut over. He's at ringside. Just, oh man. So, I just love the visual so much. You start counting the members and you're like, wait, someone's missing. Wait, Eddie Kingston's missing. Where is he? And, fans have known about like this feud between Eddie Kingston and Cesaro for like a bit of time now. So everyone's kind of wondering, are they really going to play into it, And it's funny because during the show, when Cesaro makes his debut, Eddie Kingston, he had previously in an interview said in a tweet, he was like, I'm not going to mention him by name, but he doesn't have the balls to show up here. And it was after he left WWE. And so during the show, it wasn't like after the fact. It was during the show, after he makes his debut, he quote tweets that and goes, whoa, it looks like he did have the balls to show up. And so at the end of the show, they cut to Eddie Kingston at ringside, and John Moxley's like, what are you doing? Like, kind of like, you can't hear what they're saying, but John Moxley has that confused look on his face, like, dude, get in the ring with us. And Eddie Kingston's pointing at Cesaro, and Cesaro finally looks over. He's like, nah, I don't want to be in there with him. And Cesaro starts talking back to him. And the funniest part to me is, Eddie Kingston kind of walks away, and Cesaro goes back to focusing towards the ramp. And John Moxley just kind of looks at the camera and goes, I don't know what's up with them.
Like, I'm trying, Jack. I ruin things for myself. I'm trying to figure this out, right? And there's so much about what's going on. Is it a work? Did they tell Eddie Kingston that it was Cesaro? Did they tell Eddie Kingston that Cesaro's going to be on this team? Did they tell John Moxley, that this was going to blow up in their faces? Because when he's yelling at John Moxley, I agree with you. He's got this look like, man, what you doing out there? Just come inside. And Cesaro, he's standing there, and I saw him too, Jack, go from the side that Eddie Kingston's on to the side where Jericho Appreciation Society is, as if in his mind and with his face thinking, I'm not even going to deal with this right now. I'm going to come over here, right? It's like a spot that the camera wasn't supposed to catch.
Yeah, and the funniest part, too, is that Mox keeps trying because then he goes, to the other side. And I just love it so much because, the camera just catches a little bit of audio. Like, Eddie Kingston's, yelling at him. And Mox is going, nah, come on, it's fine. Just get in here. Come on, just get in here. Just get in here. And he's smiling at Eddie Kingston too, trying to tell him, dude, you're overreacting. Come on, just get in here, man. And the entire time Eddie Kingston's just yelling. And the funniest part to me is, despite picking up that, at no point does the camera pick up what Eddie Kingston's even saying. So it just sounds like he's yelling, but you can't understand anything he's yelling.
Yeah, I think we all can relate to that yelling that you can't make out, but it's yelling. It might be happening right outside my window. It might be happening next door. It's just that, It's just the cadences in his body language.
Yeah, but
and he's doing this really, and again, is this a work, Jack? Am I being played, Jack? Because Eddie Kingston doesn't just book it and leave. He stands there. He's playing a character. He's making sure everybody sees and hears him pitch this fit. I'm thinking, why doesn't he just book it? It's like he's waiting for the cameras to stop rolling. He's like, nah, forget it. What you doing here? I don't know, man. I tell you, they almost got me. I almost was planning to watch Dynamite, but I don't have cable. Overall, Jack, what'd you think of the night?
I honestly think it was one of the best shows I've watched I would say of all time. I really enjoyed
All
it.
time.
I really enjoyed it, and I will say it's probably the best since All Out.
The best since All Out or All In?
All Out 2021 when Punk made his debut.
Oh, I got you. Oh, sure, that was a really good night, right? I thought this was super entertaining. I thought it was worth my $50. I can't stand it, Jack, that I can't watch this on New Japan World because only people in Japan can.
Yeah.
But it was worth it. I got a bunch of money, a bunch of bang for my buck with 13 giant matches.
Yeah. And I will say, I consider it one of my favorite of all time because I just found myself so invested throughout the time. But you want to know what's the funniest part looking back on this all? Such a monumentous event. Such hype, such obviously tragedy in the fact that just so many matches were changed. Like, I told my dad, I looked at it and like people looked at it too. The only match that remained unchanged was the women's title match. Every other match had some type of change into it. You know, whether it was adding people being removed. But, there's all this to the event, right?
Yeah.
And isn't it funny that the best match from the card happened on the pre-show?
I agree with you 1,000%. I think if a couple of those changes hadn't happened, that I might have been swayed. I wanted so badly to want to replay forever that All Atlantic Championship match. It was good, but there's too much Clark Connors in it for me to want to go back and revisit. But no, that Swerve in Our Glory versus Suzuki Gun was so good. It was so good.
Yeah. And honestly, it's I could see it at this point in time, the halfway point, because we're at the end of June, it would definitely make my top 10 matches of the halfway point. We'll see if it holds up by the end of the year. But and it's funny you mentioned it, the Swerve in Our Glory. I've always hated the fact that that's what they went with when the perfect name of Strictly Business was right there for them.
Wow, that sounds amazing. It's true.
And of course, they can't change it because they're probably breaking up soon.
It's true, alas. Jack, how much time we got?
17 minutes.
Wonderful. Check it out. There were 13 matches in total. Babyfaces won 8 of those matches.
Wow.
Heels won 5. It was a very house showy, like a one-off, right? There wasn't a lot of stories built except for maybe the final match and that stuff afterwards. So you go, you got that house show, send the people happy. Babyface is obviously gonna win most of those matches. Who do you think got the most pinfalls or submissions? An AEW superstar or a New Japan superstar?
I think AEW had the advantage.
AEW, 9 of their superstars scored the winning, decision. New Japan, there were 4. Who did they want to protect? Here are the 4 New Japan stars, Jack, that won their matches. Shingo, Ospreay, Jay White, and Hiroki Goto.
And you want to know what's funny enough, too? Shingo, well, obviously the other one's, I'm realizing now, but it's funny because Shingo got the pinfall, but he got it on a New Japan guy.
It's true, yes. So, AEW comes out with the most wins. Babyfaces come out with the most wins. Here's a mind-blowing fact for you, Jack. There were 13 matches total. How many matches, Jack? Don't do the math. Say it real quick. How many of those matches involved a superstar who, right before joining AEW, worked for WWE?
I'm going to say 7.
10 of the matches.
Wow.
10 of 13 involved a superstar who, just before this, wrestled for WWE. Here are the 3 matches that did not involve a former WWE superstar. Lance Archer versus what's his name?
Nick Camarado.
And I know Lance Archer fought for WWE, but he went to New Japan first, then AEW. The Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy match was non-WWE. And the Hiroki Goto match, the very first match of the night. You got Goto and Yoshihashi. And you got QT Marshall, Aaron Solo. Neither of them have fought for WWE.
Yeah, I'm pretty... All right. Actually, no, never mind. He was like a developmental guy, so I wouldn't even count it.
Nope. Last figure, Jack. So, 9 AEW superstars got to win. How many of them were former WWE?
I'm going to say 5.
It was 5. A majority of AEW victories were WWE victories, really. And those are like Claudio, let's see.
Swerving Keith Lee.
And even Pac. Remember, former WWE, right? Jericho, FTR. Don't forget FTR. Goodness gracious.
Real interesting to see.
So, a great show. I'm left wanting more. Where was Omega? Where was MJF? Where was Ricky Starks? He's fine, I think. I don't think he's hurt.
Yeah,
right?
He's not hurt.
Where was Luchasaurus? Where was Wardlow?
I'm upset that Santana and Ortiz weren't featured on here.
Where was Santana and Ortiz?
Especially with all the Jericho Appreciation Society stuff that was happening.
I don't care for any of them. I'm fine. I'm actually worried, Jack, how over Jericho still is. It's worrisome.
Yeah. And like you look at a lot of the tag teams New Japan had. Oh well, like I would have wanted to see Santana and Ortiz face off against them, but also like you also still look at a lot of the New Japan talent that was left off the card. I know he's getting up there, so I know not to expect much out of him. But no Naito.
No, yeah, you're right.
Trying to think who else. Sonata wasn't on this card.
Taichi?
Yeah. The big one, Kota Ibushi, isn't anywhere yet to be seen because of.
Yeah, he's a little busy. He's got some drama.
Yeah.
He's got some drama going on.
We don't see Evil and House of Torture.
No, you're absolutely right. So we look ahead next week, Jack. Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank is next week.
Monday is the actual 4th of July. You and I think I'd like to schedule our talk for next Tuesday.
Yeah, especially because given the time we record, I don't think it would be possible to record at those times.
On Monday, you mean?
Yeah.
Because you're saying it's about dusk and we'd be drowned out by all of the explosions in our respective areas?
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I think Tuesday would definitely work, but yeah, Money in the Bank is this Saturday. There's a lot going on for the most part. Bobby Lashley is challenging Austin Theory for the U.S. title. There's the men's and women's Money in the Bank matches. Roman's not on it.
He is not, no.
I don't even think the tag titles are on it, unless they might be. I don't know for sure.
I think they are. I think Montez Ford and what's his name? Street Profits, I think, are challenging.
Okay, well, they're on it. Bianca's defending against Carmella because
Carmella
with injury.
I know. That Forbidden Door curse was so strong, it's impacting WWE superstars too. Max Caster's rap was really cool. One of his lines was that they were going to put 4 more names on the injured list. That was a good one.
Yeah. And then I mentioned Roman's not on the card because he's looking ahead towards SummerSlam where he's once again, like you mentioned in one of the previous episodes, the break glass in case of emergency. He's facing off against Brock Lesnar again.
Again. The equivalent of Tanahashi winning the Best of the Super Junior tournament.
Oh, man.
And Jack, we've not even begun to talk about Vince McMahon and what he has going on.
What he has going on and not letting him affect him appearing for whatever reason weekly at this point on his shows.
It's so weird. He's a weird old man.
He never once was appearing weekly, but as soon as this big old controversy happened, here he is appearing on TV week after week like nothing's happening all of a sudden.
That's what I hear, Jack. I hear on certain podcasts that they predict that that's generally what he's trying to do. He's trying to convey the belief that everything's going to be okay and nothing's going to change.
Yeah, whatever.
He's either delusional or he's going to sneak out of another one. Laurinaitis is going to take the heat and Vince McMahon's going to escape again.
Yeah, what a crazy situation that is.
You didn't watch Slammiversary, did you?
I didn't, but I caught the recaps of it, you know.
I actually watched Slammiversary. I bought it. It was the first day of summer break after graduation. And it was an incredible show.
I saw a lot about it that I wish I could have seen, especially anytime the X Division has a match. It's just always really good, and I always wish to see it.
Yeah, Trey Miguel, Mike Bailey, Ace, what's his name?
Austin.
Ace Austin.
Kenny King from formerly from ROH.
Mm-hmm. Now he's Ring of Honor no more, whatever they say about themselves. I don't know if you've seen this. There was a Briscoe brothers versus the Good Brothers in a tag team championship match. After the match, they kind of stare each other down. Good Brothers win. It was actually quite a surprise. But Bullet Club's on an uptick. And when it looks like they're going to throw down after the match, they win clean. There wasn't any, nothing to get mad about.
Yeah.
They're just sort of showboating, and who interrupts them but, what were they called? Chris Harris and James Storm.
Yeah, America's Most Wanted.
America's Most Wanted comes out as a tag team, right? Chris Harris not in quite the same shape as James Storm, but they don't come out to fight. James Storm just comes out with a six-pack in his hand and says, I just want to come out and celebrate 20 years, and TNA's always had a strong tag team division for 20 years. And it's true, right? And so he says, you fought hard, now it's time to drink hard. And he hands out beers, right? And he hands a beer to everybody in the ring. And when he gets to Chris Harris, you know what he hands him? A water bottle. Literally in that six-pack had 5 beers and 1 water bottle. And Chris Harris takes it, kind of nods it to the crowd, and everyone's all about it. Yay, he's getting better.
Oh, man. It's funny you bring up Impact, because even now, when people are talking about the, hopefully, in people's eyes, inevitable second Forbidden Door pay-per-view, as it becomes maybe a yearly thing, people are like, oh, well, hopefully we see, more partnerships come to play in a more of a all-in type of way.
Did you know that Impact had their own Forbidden Door kind of show in WrestleMania weekend?
I do remember. I forget what they called it. It was multiverse.
It was the multiverse of matches.
That's what it was, yeah.
Which I thought was an incredible move.
Yeah, that was real good. And so people are looking towards that. Like I told you, they want Stardom to get involved. Despite the partnership being over, they want Impact to make its way over. And all that, and it's funny because at this point I'm surprised Tony Khan isn't calling up Impact and saying, "Can we get those tag titles on FTR?"
FTR, I don't get them. I'm not into them.
And then,
they've done something that no tag team's ever done. Right? Hold all these titles at once. Here's a challenge for you. Stay healthy, huh? Can you do that for a couple of months, huh? It reminds me of a student at school. One of my coworkers was like, "Hey, I like that kid. He's smart. He just needs to be challenged." And I looked at him, and this is June, Mr. Solis. Little, lot of wear on those tires in June. I'm a little more curt. And he goes, "I like that kid. He's smart. He just needs to be challenged." I said, "Here's a challenge for him. Be good. There you go. Figure that one out."
Or it's like the student who like does good on the test, but because he does good on the test, he doesn't do the homework.
Something like that. Yeah. Here's a challenge. Do what I asked you to do.
Oh, man. But so real quickly, sir, with about 4 minutes left and before we close off, if next year's time they do another Forbidden Door pay-per-view, barring any injuries, give me the 3 matches you want to see most between New Japan and AEW.
Bryan Danielson in a gauntlet match with just all the Suzuki gun. Zack Sabre Jr. on the end. I want him to fight Taichi. I want him to fight Desperado. I want him to fight Kanemaru. I want him to fight Suzuki. I want him to fight Lance Archer. Let's see. Another serious one. Let's see. I want Omega and Ibushi versus the Young Bucks. Want the Golden Lovers, whatever they call themselves. Yeah. And one more. Oh, okay. I want Ishii versus Miro.
Nice.
Please and thank you.
Nice.
Who you got?
Oh, man. I'm trying to think of... wait, but then... I'm trying... Because I need one more person to tag with him, but... yeah, you brought up the Omega team with Ibushi.
Yeah.
I want to see, the Elite, as in the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega team up. And I want them to face off against... it's in a funny way, just to kind of see what the story would be. Even if it's we're gonna have a surprise trios team for you, and they just throw I don't know who the third person would be, but throw Hangman and Ibushi together and force Omega to have to decide between teaming with the Bucks and going against his 2 former tag partners in Hangman and Ibushi, just to see the story play.
It's so funny when you put them together. I didn't realize what they had in common, but they've both teamed with Kenny.
Yeah, and especially, I told you at the end of that match, they kind of hinted that the Bucks and Hangman...
Yes.
So, maybe, that would be cool to see. I obviously want to see Danielson versus Sabre. And, but, other than that trios match, if there was 2 matches aside from that one and the Danielson Sabre that I really want to see, especially after this event, I want to see a one-on-one between Desperado and Swerve.
Yeah.
And I want to see either give me a one-on-one, a triple threat, or even a fatal 4-way to showcase the juniors. Give me either a one-on-one between Hiromu and Darby Allin, a triple threat with Darby Allin, Swerve, and Hiromu, or just make it a fatal 4-way and throw Desperado into that mix as well.
That would be incredible. I thought of another one too. House of Evil versus, is it House of Darkness or
House of Black? Or
no, well, so I want AEW's House of Black versus Evil's group in New Japan. Evil,
House
Joe,
of Torture.
House of Torture. Yes, I want House of Torture versus House of Black. I
would actually love to see that if Evil decides to throw it back to his LIJ wrestling style, so I can see him and Brody King.
I want him to be obnoxious. I want him to cheat. I want Dick Togo all up in the business.
Oh, man. Oh, snap. Well, with about 45 seconds left, thank you all for joining us for 3 episodes of the Rule 34 podcast, Season 2. Woo-hoo! The next time we'll see you, Season 3 will commence. That being said, I've been your host, Jack, joined by my fellow guest,
Mr. Solis.
As always, it is a joy, sir, to cover these shows with you. Thank you all for joining us for Season 2. you'll see Dom and I one final time this Sunday for Season 2 to finish it off properly. And with that being said, as always, if it exists, we have an opinion on it. Thank you, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.